The following program is produced by Londonderry residents. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily the views and opinions of the LACTV staff or its volunteers, and should not be considered an endorsement by CTV20 or its staff and volunteers.
Welcome, Londonderry, to another edition of Concord Conversations. As we've said before, we cover issues anywhere from town, local, county, and state government and what's going on around the state. Today, we're going to concentrate on our county. And before we get into that, I'd like to let you know that we have Representative Wayne McDonald here with us, and we have Commissioner Brian Chirichiello, which is a commissioner in our district for the county. Most people don't realize this, but every single state representative in the state oversees their county's budget, and every single representative is assigned to a county subcommittee that looks over the county's budget to make sure that things are going right. They ask questions, they go down there and talk to the heads of the departments, and that's what we do in New Hampshire. But who really runs the county and what do they do? So right now I'm going to ask Brian. Brian, give us a short summary of just what does a county commissioner do day to day to run Rockingham County?
Yeah, thanks, Doug, and thanks for having me, and Wayne. Good question. It does come up quite often. What does a county commissioner do? And we take care of the day-to-day operations. We actually approve the spending that the delegation has set for us in the budget. So if you think about it, we've got 500 employees, 500 plus. We've got 8 unions at the county. And so we take care of the day-to-day operations. Specifically in Rockingham County, we're very interesting in the fact that we don't have a county administrator. So the duties really fall on the commissioners a little bit heavier than most of the other counties in the state. So that's what we do. And we take care of issues, employee issues, or issues with buildings or whatnot.
It's almost like I've often been trying to explain it to constituents and others. It's almost like a board of selectmen, but at the county level, right? Exactly.
I think that's a good analogy, Wayne. And again, going back, we don't have a county administrator, so typically in a town you'll have the select board or the town council, and then you'll have the manager. We don't have that manager level, so it's the 3 commissioners that have to just make the decisions. And we meet weekly, and usually on Thursday mornings, so there's quite a lot to get into at the county level.
It's a big job for people if they don't know what the county commissioners do here. And we have a lot of departments in the county. For instance, the sheriff's department, right. The county attorney, the register of deeds, the county treasurer. We have the nursing facility is under the facilities manager. What other departments does the county have that you have to oversee as well?
So the county jail. We said the sheriff's department, long-term care, which is the nursing home, and we also have a wing of assisted living. So it's pretty much, I think you've got everything else down there. There's like 8 or 9 different departments that we look at.
It's important to also point out that of the 10 counties in New Hampshire, Rockingham County is the second largest in population.
That's right.
What, 250,000 or more?
303,000.
I'm way out of date.
That's okay. Yes, we're the second largest, and I'm a little bit biased. We are the best.
As a native of Rockingham County, I agree.
Yes, and I actually see a lot of other counties call our department heads for, if they have questions, they're calling our department heads because they get so much knowledge there, right. Asking some questions. So right. You can see that.
We've had people that have been here for a while running the county, and again, from what I've seen in the last 10 years that I've been a state rep, Rockingham County is very, very well run. Particularly, one instance is our Register of Deeds has completely digitized the entire department, far ahead of all counties in this state. But also, the county doesn't run for free, and they do have taxes, and that is part of our property tax we have in town. But I think that's a good news story, Brian. Why don't you tell us about, we are being run so efficiently. Tell us about how the taxes have been over the last several years.
I'm happy to do that. And right before that, I want to say 4 years ago, I came on the show to bring respectability back to the county. I can tell you, I am extremely proud of the county and what we've accomplished. You've talked about the numbers, and I just want to say that it's a $95 million budget, of which roughly $50 million comes from the taxpayers, and that's 37 different communities. But I'm a data guy, so what I really would like to share with you and your viewers in Londonderry of how fiscally conservative we really are. This is the delegation as well as the commissioners. In 2020, it was $50,297,000. In 2021, we had a decrease, an actual decrease in taxes at $49,457,000. 2022, it went up just a little bit, $49,791,000, which was like a 0.07% increase from that previous year. 2023, it was a flat, okay, a flat taxes, so we didn't increase at all. And then last year it was a 3% increase, okay? Now, the significance of that is we're coming out of COVID, right? 2020, that time period, those 5 years. And if you look at an actual decrease and a flat budget in 2 of those 5 years, that's amazing. I don't know anywhere else you could see that in government. So what I did is the inflation over that same period was 17.4%. The county increase, if you take the 5 years of what I just mentioned, was a 2% overall increase. That's amazing if you think
efficient
about
government right there.
Yeah, and kudos to the delegation.
And we haven't done away with or decreased any of the county services.
No, as a matter of fact, that leads me into my next piece. When I came in, we had our long-term care was rated a 2-star program with Medicare.gov. Okay, we brought in a new director the same time that I came on board, and what I can tell you is we went from a 2-star to a 5-star rating, the highest rating you can get. And we've been there for the last 2 years. But more importantly, they've been deficiency-free for 2 years. Now, what does that mean? The state comes into all nursing homes. They come and they're looking at everything to see if there's any code violations or whatnot. 2 years deficiency-free is, again, unheard of. So, tight budget, and the services that we provide have gotten better through a COVID period. It's really an amazing story, and this is one of the reasons why I'm extremely proud of.
Right. Well, we hear that. Wayne and I are on the executive committee of the county,
Yes.
And we have frequent meetings with you and other members of the departments, and we hear these good news stories. We do know there was an issue at time with some with the nursing home nurses and so forth. There were measures taken to help that, which I'm sure you're probably going to later on. But one thing that really is amazing is for many years the county departments kind of sort of suffered under the building that they're currently in, with a lot of health problems and problems with the building. And finally, after many, many years of research, there's a new building that is under construction. Could you tell us a little bit about how that came to be and what's going on?
Yeah, surely. So as you mentioned, Doug, we have the county attorneys and the registry of deeds. Actually, we rent space from the state. They're in the basement of the courthouse, county courthouse. And over the years, it wasn't the best possible place for our employees. They've had numerous issues that was rough. And so I want to say 8 years ago, the delegation actually had a state rep from Salem, Gary Azarian, look into a possibility of building a new building. Now, at that time, it was really a want or a dream. They didn't really get heavy serious on the money side of things. And then Representative Azarian moved away. And then at that time, it was Representative Mills, Representative John O'Connor, myself on this building committee. And we moved forward discussing, how we could possibly move our employees out of the basement of the courthouse and into a building that's closer to the campus of the county. And then along came COVID, And as we know, most of the counties got what they call ARPA monies. And so, you know, the Rockingham County got ARPA monies, and at that time, we thought that that was the best opportunity to actually build something. We could use ARPA money for a significant piece of the building, and then bond the rest, because as you both know, it's a fairness issue, right? If you're building a new building, you want current taxpayers and future taxpayers paying into it. So we did a 20-year bond, and the bonding at the time was at the lowest interest rate. It was perfect timing. We had 2 retiring bonds that had retired in the county, so it made the situation was really ideal to do it. And so we're about 6 months into that building right now. It's probably going to be another year out, year and a half, I should say. And what we decided to do was take the sheriff's department and move it to the new building. Now, the sheriff's department is right above corrections, the jail. And that was supposed to be a temporary spot for them years ago. This is before I was as a commissioner, but that was only supposed to be temporary. So now we had the opportunity to move them into a better spot. The dispatch is, you know, they're in a closet. So this is going to be much better. It's going to show efficiencies for the county, and our employees are going to be a lot happier. It's just a really well thought out plan. Again, that's already been bonded, and I just showed you the numbers. A 2% increase, that's included in that. So the taxpayers are getting a good deal here.
For those that may not know, the county headquarters really is in Brentwood,
Yes.
which is right next to Epping. So it's a good central location, and the spot that they picked to build the building is an ideal location. So, Wayne, you've been on the executive board for the past couple of years. What things have you seen involving this building that have piqued your interest?
Well, to reflect on the building itself, I remember back in the 90s, I wasn't in the House then, I wasn't formally involved in county government, but I remember the headlines when the building was first built back in the 90s. I think the headline said, Rockingham County Courthouse, brand new and leaking like a sieve. I think that was the exact headline. So there was problems with this building from the very beginning. And you know, I give Commissioner Chirichiello and the entire board and all those involved, the building committees and others, a lot of credit for finally addressing this problem and you know, getting us out of that situation. I have, you know, as Representative Thomas indicated, I'm on the executive committee, and one of the things my chief responsibility as a member of the executive committee, I'm chairman of the subcommittee which deals with, among other things, the Board of Commissioners and several other areas of county government also. And it's been a pleasure dealing with you know, Brian and the other 2 commissioners. They do a fantastic job, and again, second largest county in the state, and at the same time very well run without a county administrator to really lean on. So again, Brian, thank you for all of that.
No, thank you.
As we talk about the nursing home in particular, if I could go back to that for a moment, I was told, and you can verify this, that we were the only county in New Hampshire during COVID that had no fatalities during COVID. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, and there's an interesting story to that, and that's true. Before I came on board, the commissioners, now at the time COVID had just come out, we're looking at TV news out of Italy where they're showing a lot of senior citizens passing away from COVID in nursing home settings. So it was scary. And you know, the commissioners at the time, not a lot of people know this, but they had basically ordered 200 body bags for the county because they were just trying to prepare. We still have the 200 body bags.
And they're empty, and that's a good thing.
Right. And that's kudos to Jude Gates, who heads up our buildings and maintenance. They really did a fantastic job. As soon as the COVID news came out, they did what was necessary to limit exposure to the seniors that were inside. It was kind of a scary time, you know, and that's when I got elected. And it was like, okay, you know, your office is inside the nursing home. And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. But as I mentioned, we've come out stronger. To think of a 2-star rated nursing home to a 5-star, okay, the quality of care is, bar none, really extremely a good thing there. So quality of care has been improved. So things that we can actually do for, you mentioned the nurses. We still have issues with hiring nurses, but that's countrywide. That needs to get addressed. Right now we're using traveling nurses and they are expensive. But because of the nursing shortage, there's not a lot we can do there. We're trying to attract as many as we can, but there's just not enough to go around nursing. So
And we know healthcare is a huge issue at every level
Yeah.
throughout the country, local, county, state, federal, continues to be a major expense. I think the Department of Health and Human Services, and I'm chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee in the New Hampshire House, I believe something like 70% when I was in the department as an employee, 70% of the department's budget, which is half of the state budget, is related to Medicaid and medical expenses. So that's the
Yeah.
kind of challenge we're dealing with.
yeah, it's a challenge, no doubt. We'll tackle that, and I'm sure that the county will come out well in advance. So in the next few years, there's some things going on at the county that I can see where we can make some adjustments to that. So we'll see how it all pans out.
Well, the county has an excellent history of meeting the challenges before it. So
Yeah, and for one example, we came to the delegation because our correctional officers, we were down correctional officers at the jail. They're dealing with mental health issues, people coming into the jails with mental health. So a lot of my correctional officers are not trained on mental health issues. So you can see the stress levels, and we were understaffed. So we had to make a move there, and the commissioners went to the delegation and said, we've got a plan, this is what we'd like to do. Can we have permission to do it? And the delegation, I have to tell you, working with the delegation's been a pleasure all the way through. Some counties,
By the
it's different.
delegation, you mean all the state reps?
The state
Right.
reps,
with two exceptions maybe, or no, not us?
yeah, not you guys, no, definitely not. So we got that approved. I can happily say that we've increased the amount of correctional officers we have. No more mandatory overtime. So we've made, that was the second issue, biggest issue at the county that we needed to address. The commissioners went to the delegation, asked for this new program, and they approved it. So kudos goes around to the delegation and the commissioners to get that addressed. The nursing issue is going to be a little bit longer because it's just the situation that's in.
Right.
But it just goes to show you when working hand in hand with the delegation. And by the way, I was a state rep for 10 years. I was a delegation member for 10 years and on the executive board. So I was on your side of things as well. So it's much easier. I've got the relationships. I've known you guys for a few years. So it's nice to be able to work together and getting the job done for the people. So
I think it's very important, people working together and getting to know, and despite what your differences might be, you go towards a common goal to get things done. Before we move on to other success stories in the county, I'd like to touch base on one thing that's kind of near and dear to my heart, since I am the vice chair of the Science, Technology, and Energy Committee, is the innovative approach that you took and others on how we're saving the county money with a new solar array system that's being established with our new building there.
Yes.
How did that come to be? And I believe it's some of the policies that my committee helped pass
Yes.
that it enabled the county to take advantage of this. So tell us a little bit about how that's going to help us.
absolutely. This is really a really proud moment for the county. So at the time, the building committee was looking at, for the new building specifically, covered parking with some solar panels above the covered parking. And then at that time, as that was being discussed, your committee and some other bills came to allow municipalities to do up to 5 megawatts of solar. The governor signed it. And so at that time, we kind of pivoted and we said, okay, we still have enough money to not do covered parking, because that solar piece is expensive, but to do a solar array behind the building. And so the plans are we'll have 8,800 solar panels taking up about 12 acres of field. We're not chopping any trees down, which is the other beauty thing. You know, it's already getting all the sun. That'll be behind this building. And we will be the largest in the state solar array, Rockingham County, when it's complete. The part that I like most is the county spends in their budget roughly $600,000 a year for electricity costs. This solar will take care of the whole county complex, meaning we won't have a bill for electricity. Okay? So that's a savings of $600,000 a year, plus roughly about $150,000 in RECs. And I won't get into that, that's a little complicated process, but it's another $150,000. So it's $750,000 savings for the taxpayers. Now, the beauty of this is we're using federal dollars to buy the solar, but the ROI, the benefit goes to the Rockingham County taxpayers to the tune of about $22.5 million over the lifespan of the solar.
Amazing.
So we're going to save that, but more importantly, we can reinvest some of that money into areas of the county that need to be addressed. So it's, again, another huge, huge savings for the taxpayers of Rockingham County.
That just goes to show the forward thinking we have of people running Rockingham County, and the delegation that supports it has made us, I believe, a front runner for the entire state.
Yeah.
And that's and so you guys have a lot of success stories. What else can you tell us about what's happened? Because this takes up a lot of your time, I'm sure,
Yeah.
the building and everything, but there are other things that are really going well in this county.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm like extremely, extremely proud of being able to be a part of Rockingham County. You know, when I came in 4 years ago, I just mentioned that I would like to bring respect back to Rockingham County. I won't go into the problems before then. There was a little battles in between some department heads and whatnot. And I said that I was going to run and bring respect back. And in this quick 4 years that I've been there, the turnaround has been amazing. The respect that we get is just truly unbelievable. But for instance, my sheriff's department, we actually, over the last 4 years, the sheriff's department was used typically to serve warrants mostly.
Right.
But what was happening is we saw a lot of fentanyl coming in from parts of Massachusetts. So now the Sheriff's Department is one of the leaders working with our federal partners in cracking down on fentanyl. We've actually, we got 2 police dogs for the Sheriff's Department, and those guys have been doing a fantastic job. One of the leaders in the state, again. So we've brought a department that was really not being used to their full capacity to being able to use that to full capacity now in an issue that's near and dear to everybody. You know, we're trying to fight fentanyl. So we're fighting fentanyl on one side, but we're also, and I can talk about this, on the county correctional side, we're trying to treat people that have this addiction. It's not an easy thing to deal with, addiction, and so the two-pronged approach, helping people get off of these bad drugs because people are dying, and cracking down on the people that are selling that is what we're doing.
Sheriff Chuck Maceos, I believe, has quite a lengthy and distinguished history in law enforcement, and certainly he's bringing that to bear, and I'm sure that's, why we're seeing such an effective, effort in this regard.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, the people we do have running in the county are doing an excellent job. Sure, there are differences here and there, but when you bring respect into an organization, I think that brings forward successes. I don't think I can overstate that more. That if you respect the institution, if you respect the people, even though you have vast disagreements, you can still get some things done. Now, one thing I'd like to ask your opinion of, and this is just recently, we know that in the past, in the rest of the state, every 2 years, the sheriff, the register of deeds, and the county attorney, they have to campaign to be reelected. But last term, we passed a bill for Rockingham County that now lets the sheriff, the register of deeds, the county attorney, and the treasurer to be elected every 4 years.
Right.
Have you seen a difference in how they can effectively do their jobs now that they are in a 4-year cycle?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's a positive step. If you can think about, for instance, the sheriff's department, full-time job, the county attorney, the registry of deeds, they do a lot of work. And 2 years goes by quickly, as you both know.
Yes.
So, if you get elected and you're trying to make improvements, and then all of a sudden a year and a half, you have to worry about campaigning again, sort of takes away from the things that you need to do at the county. So I thought that this was a good compromise. 4 years makes sense because you don't have to worry about running again and raising money and getting out there. So it's been a positive, specifically for Rockingham County, because honestly, the department heads that we have, the elected officials that we have, are bar none top notch. The sheriff, Kathy Stacy, they're very knowledgeable. And as I mentioned earlier, other counties reach out to our department heads and our elected officials to bounce things off of. So what does that tell you? That we're well respected and we have the institutional knowledge. I think that helps there as well. So I think that was a good move.
Well, Brian, we have a few minutes left. Are there other things that you'd like to inform more people here about what's going on in the county that are good success stories?
No, I mean, we're coming up to budget time again, so I'm sure I'm going to see both of you representatives there.
We'll be over.
Yeah,
We'll be
I just
there.
want to point out, again, a pleasure to work with our delegation. I won't name any names. Other counties have had problems with delegation and commission members in different counties. It hasn't been as pleasant. But my philosophy is I let my delegation know what's going on. I keep them informed so that they do know. And then when the time comes to make a decision together financially, it's usually, we've talked it out and we're usually on the same page most of the time. So I'm really happy to work with both of you and the rest of the delegation. Again, the delegation's 90 members.
Right.
So that's significant to get everybody on board.
I might point out that some people may not understand this, but every county is the same way, but in Rockingham County, the delegation is a mixture of Democrat representatives and Republican representatives. And although we have the majority in this county, I've seen we work well. Even we have Democratic members on the subcommittees there, and we work well together to get some things done.
Yeah.
That goes to show you how cooperation, although we have differences, can make a county run very efficiently. How would you respond to that?
So I think that that's where we as politicians need to be. We read you see the news and you watch the news and you see a lot of bickering back and forth amongst party lines. To me, I got into politics to get things done, to help people. And I believe that both of you agree with that.
Right.
And you mentioned at the delegation, we have Democrats and Republicans, and we're on the same page. That's when it works for the people, and that's really what the people demand. So I'm happy that we can do what the people want and elected us to do. And so kudos to everybody.
And just to clarify, the executive committee has 15 members, right?
Right.
And 5 from each commissioner's district, of which there's 3. And there's a mixture of Democrat and Republican chairmen of these subcommittees. So
Yeah.
so that's again that in a heavy Republican county, it's good that we have that kind of a mixture. And one of the commissioners is also a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives us a good perspective and a good balance, if you will, in terms of addressing the issues that we have to confront.
Absolutely.
I might add that it is the responsibility of every elected state rep in each county to attend the county subcommittees that they're put on. They're equally spread apart. They don't have that many meetings. They basically oversee on a quarterly basis, I believe, budgets. They look at the spreadsheets, they ask questions, and they get a feel for how the county or how their department is being run in their respective subcommittee. So that's how we run it here in Rockingham County. It seems to have been very, very effective. And for the state reps that do show for the county subcommittees, they have greatly influenced just how well this county is run, along with the cooperation of all three of the commissioners. We have just about a minute left. You want to sum up?
Yeah,
Brian?
so I just gave you some information that a lot of people don't know yet. But what do you think? I mean, a 2% over 5 years when
That's
inflation
fantastic.
was
Excellent.
17.4,
That's-
and we've accomplished the things that we've accomplished under those budgets.
Can you teach Washington how to do that?
Oh,
Well, speaking of Washington, I just got back, and maybe I'll save that for another time, but the counties all go to Washington, D.C., which I got back 3 weeks ago, which is another thing that is really good. But anyway, I thank you guys for being supporters of the county and doing what you do. So thank you very
Wayne,
much.
last minute comments?
Again, proud to be part of the Rockingham County government and the delegation, and it's a great team, and just as we try to do every day at the state level, at the county level, we try to put that kind of same effort in terms of efficiencies and economy and sound judgment behind every dollar we ask you to expend, for the public good, and we hope that you realize that you're getting 100 cents out of every dollar of benefit.
Well, that's it for Concord Conversations. We just talked with Brian Chirichiello, one of the commissioners of Rockingham County. It's not just a title name. It's a job that is very important to the county, and it's being run very, very well. Thank you for tuning in, and hope to see you at the next edition of Concord Conversations, Londonderry.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Don't
Bye-bye.
forget to vote tomorrow.
That's right. Voting is tomorrow, please. Thank you.